Is there a motion to approve the minutes from our February 22nd meeting? Anyone?
Move.
All right, Colleen moves. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Is there any corrections, additions, changes anyone has for those minutes? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay.
Aye.
All right. I don't believe we have any appearances. All right. Membership disclosure of any potential conflicts of interest, if necessary, of any of the topics from any of the board member or commission members. Okay. All right, move on to our first request for approval of the 2022 Vibrant Hydrants project from Madison Public Arts Project. I know we have Jillian here and we have the packet or the application that you submitted as well that everybody has had the chance to review. But I'll kick it over to you, Jillian, if you want to provide any other additional color to that, not hydrant, but in this case, your grant application.
Yeah, we were thank you and hello to everybody. We were excited to submit this, and we were just also awarded another $1,700 by the Department of Cultural Affairs grant that came through as of yesterday, as well as a $5,000 contribution from American Family Insurance, their social impact fund for community. So we're excited about that. And certainly we feel that public art makes a great case for drawing visitors to Monona. And it is our hope and thought that with these vibrant hydrants on view, there'll be 15 essentially mini sculptures that will draw tourism to the area and to the restaurants and to the hotels and promote a greater interest in the arts. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you perfectly. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
There's always that little delayed lull, right?
Yeah.
Don't quite know. I should step back a second, and I apologize. Brian or Mark, do you want to comment on, from our previous applications that were accepted, how much total we have to give out for this year, or any additional information that you want to give out on that piece? Sorry, Julia.
Yeah, sure. And Mark, feel free to jump in and correct me. The last I checked the numbers for the balance that we have in the pot today, we have about $42,000 in change remaining in our pool. And Mark is working on the numbers for next year, for 2023, which we'll do awards in the fall of 2022. That we're expecting much more money coming in because of, now the economy is reopening. And we have more hotel stays that are occurring now,
Right.
Particularly in this first quarter of 2022, and that number is much closer to $240,000 for next cycle. So we have about 42 left in the pot right now, and we'll have some additional funds going into our next funding cycle starting this fall.
Perfect. All right. Sorry. All right, back to the application for the hydrants. Is there any questions from commission members? If not, I will certainly entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the grant.
All right, there's a motion and Colleen seconded. Any further questions or comments? Chrissy?
Yeah, sorry, my house is kind of loud. My son and friends are here after school, so I was not getting an opportunity to talk, and I'm very sick, so I'm sorry for that if you can't understand me. But I just wanted to, I thank you. I just wanted to express my support for this awesome program. I think something really unique. I don't think people have seen this in our area, and I love the tie-in with the fire department and 9/11 and just the underrepresented artist piece too. I think there's a lot of wins in this package. So thank you so much for bringing it to Monona.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it'll be great. Only thing I'm sad about is I have a fire hydrant in my yard and this is not in this area. So
Ah,
Maybe next
oh,
time.
so close.
Next round.
Yeah, next round.
All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All
I,
those
Aye.
opposed, nay. All right, that passes. We will move on to her second application for request for approval of Riding Waves Public Art Project, again by Madison Public Arts Project. Again, we have the application. Everybody hopefully has been able to review it, but Jillian, if you want to provide any additional insight into that.
Yeah, thank you. I think the highlights here are that we're with this project working to destigmatize mental health issues and bring that really into the forefront in a really artistic way. The artist is very experienced. She's painted murals all over the world. She's very excited to look to the great wave of Hokusai, one of the greatest art prints. We're talking about how the waves of emotion on any given day really tie into mental health. And we're targeting under teens from neighborhoods that may not have a chance to see art or go to the Mimoga Museum, partnering with Briar Patch, specifically 2 divisions with their students there. And we're going to be doing a lot of art projects. I actually have a meeting with them next week. So that'll be great to go in and do some art that ties into the mural, but working with the students coming out of their programs there at Briar Patch as well.
That's awesome. The one question I had was, I know unfortunately we had some vandalism to our other mural that we have on the well. As you get onto Broadway to the Beltline. Is this also going to have some vandalism, kind of tamper-proof? Because I know there was a special coating that they put on there that they were able to power wash or do some cleaning.
Right. Yeah, our plan is to cover it with an anti-graffiti wash and then build into the budget, you know, a paint to allocate towards that as well for the long-term care.
Perfect. Mike is getting well hydrated with his water.
Hey, I apologize. I
It's okay.
thought I was muted. I have a question though,
Yep.
that's the way I wanted to rudely introduce my question. So. I was just wondering, I see your marketing plan and I appreciate that. I think it's important. And I think that gives us a chance to draw heads into beds, as we say. And maybe just talk a little bit more about your experience with marketing similar efforts, if you've done similar efforts, and how successful that's been in drawing viewers from outside the area.
Right. I mean, I see it tying in viewers from the greater Madison area, really. You know, we'll be talking to television stations, radio stations, and because we have such a great track record of success, we already have a lot of proven relationships with a lot of those as well. So when they hear that the Madison Public Art Project is doing something, they're pretty excited to come on board. And pardon my total construction garb, I've been on a construction site. Actually, we're partnering with the UW-Madison Arboretum, and we've been installing all week. We're going to be unveiling Friday on Earth Day, one of our sculptures there, and then the following Friday, which is Arbor Day, the second sculpture that'll be unveiled. So we have a lot that will be in the limelight, and we'll just like harness that momentum coming off that. It's a biomimetic sculpture series that'll be on view for a year there. So it'll be a great time to keep going.
Other
Thank you.
comments from commission members?
I have a comment. I just wanted to say, you know, when it comes to street art, and someone like Audi Fax with, you know, a brand, the brand awareness that she brings, she has an incredible following, you know, and so people will follow this on Instagram. And that's the nice thing about street art is it's actually really easy to market, you know, with some hashtags and with some tags. And you know, very likely people will come up from Chicago to see this just because they're followers of her work. I think that's one of the things, one of the extra added bonuses of street art is it has a dedicated following of people, and they are committed to creating trips and travel around visiting these art pieces. So yeah, I'm excited about it. I think it's a beautiful design.
I think it ties in well with the sales too that come in there. So
Absolutely. She was talking about that. That is so true. It does.
yeah. Are there any other questions or comments? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Second, Colleen. Any further additions or not additions, comments or questions? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Nay. All right. Thank you, Jillian. Good luck. And I know Brian or Mark will be in touch with you about the follow-up.
Okay. It's nice to put a face with the email.
Yeah.
Thank you.
At
Thank
least
you,
for another
everybody.
week.
I know, and then it's
Yeah.
too short.
Yeah.
Best
right,
of
take
luck.
care.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
All right, moving along, request for approval of the 2022 Rock and Brews Marathon and 5K. I know she was invited to be here to present, but
Yeah, I do not see Robin in the waiting room, so I'm not sure
all right.
what the situation is there.
So we will do what we can. So everybody's been able to review the application. I do believe that they're one of kind of the perennial applicants every year. In talking with Jake Anderson, our Parks and Rec director, he did make a comment that if there was one of the events that were happening in Monona, as far as the runs and different organizations that take the parks, this one really does fill up a lot of hotels, because I did kind of question the 500 to 600 heads and beds, if you will. And he said, no, since it's a Boston qualifier and it's a relatively new Boston qualifier in the last couple of years, there are a lot of people that do come from out of town because that is a huge draw. So I was happy to hear that, and I was interested to hear that as far as, you know, his advocacy for this application as well. So that's the only additional color that I have. But questions, comments from commission members? So they're asking for 7,500.
I don't remember the exact dollar amount, but we have given them awards in the past.
Yeah. I don't recall that we've given them maybe the 7,500. I feel like we've always cut that back to maybe 5,000 or somewhere around that. But
I would think it is the 5,000. I believe that is the number it was.
yeah.
And maybe it's too early to know this, but when it comes to, say, the food vendors and drink vendors, do we know how much they coordinate with local businesses, especially around the Monona area?
Yeah.
We don't really know that, but that's something we can, I don't think we can put it as a requirement of any funding, but we can definitely ask, you know, that they give their best efforts to coordinate with local vendors for sure.
Okay.
It's a fair question, Colleen, and I know when I was running the chamber, they were members of the chamber and they were big at supporting the local business community. So I would think that they would, but it's a
Got
good
it.
thing.
Additional questions? Otherwise, I can entertain a motion or an anti-motion if that's the desire of the commission too.
I'm wondering if we can discuss the amount a little bit more.
Sure.
Just, you know, in thinking about it, 7,500 is a lot awarded by this commission. And I know this kind of event is an easier fundraise than, say, like Jillian's event, you know, where it's high publicity, it's hundreds, if not thousands of people. And, you know, they also have all these other income revenue opportunities like the food vendors. And so I guess it's hard not knowing in the past what's been awarded. But it sounded like you all thought maybe 5,000 was more in that ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone have thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, my thought too was, I mean, this is a for-profit company that is running this too. Not saying that it's easy to come by money, no matter for-profit or nonprofit, but that also made me question it a little bit as far as, you know, their profits off of something like this, and you know how much they need kind of these public funds, if you will.
Yeah, it does sound like they have turnout though, and they fill the hotels, which is the ideal. So it's this kind of, you know, so we just gave 3,000 to Jillian, I think, and so we were 42, so we're down to about 39. Does anyone on the commission have any sense of future applications coming through? Or, I mean, I feel like 39 we're still in pretty good shape. Really.
Yeah, I don't have any other ones that I know of that are coming down the pike in the next couple of months. You know, not to say that they wouldn't change, but I think we have, you know, pretty strong balance for at least until, you know, we get to next fall when we're starting to do 2023 events. I think we're in a pretty good place. And I just as an aside, I was able to look up quickly their application from, I believe this would have been 2018 cycle for 2019 event, and it looks like their application at that time was for 2,500.
Oh.
I don't have any other data other than that.
The only other one that's coming down the pike is our next agenda item of potentially something from the Monona Memorial Day Parade of a larger amount.
That seems like a dramatic increase.
Yeah, knowing that, I would
I
agree with that.
I'm curious as to why that is, but
I would think the most part, just looking at their applications, I don't know. I'm guessing they didn't have police charges and fire EMS charges and the street use permits. So I wonder if that's what difference is coming from.
Yeah, that is a fair point from Mark. I mean, we are trying to be more reflective of the actual cost of the city assistance in putting on these events, because, you know, obviously we want to assist the community in the way that we can, but there is cost for having city staff, public works, police, fire, helping to get ready for event, helping to staff during an actual event, and those costs are borne by the community if there isn't some sort of compensation on the front end when an application comes forward. So we're trying to be better about being upfront with applicants before they put on an event that, you know, if you need our assistance from police, fire, or whatever, this is what that's going to cost. And so if you need to bake that into your pro forma to run your event, you know, please do that. But, you know, we've been better about that in the last couple of years. Perhaps in 2018, we weren't as good about doing that.
I think there's probably some pandemic recovery added on there as well. You know, maybe some businesses, even because there's been an uptick, you know, in Europe, and maybe some businesses are not quite as, even businesses or registrants are not quite as eager to support.
Sure.
I think I would make a motion to provide 6,000 in support, and maybe we could discuss that if.
Is there a second?
oh, can I ask how you got that number? Just
Well, I really just 7,500 does seem like a lot.
Mhm.
And I feel like they do have the capacity to fundraise, but it's obviously a very valuable event for the community. And that is our entire goal, is that we're putting heads in beds. And I see it as doing that. And so I just kind of, you know, we can't really look at what they got. Okay, they got 2,500 the last time they did this. The world has completely changed, you know? And so, you know, I guess I just wanted to shave off a little, but I would be open to another amount if you have another idea too.
I mean, I agree. It does seem like a good return on investment. I wish we had a little more background on it, but I would definitely go for 6,000.
Is that a second, Colleen?
A second, sorry.
Perfect, no problem.
And just as a side, if we went with that $6,000 number with the previous awards from today, that would leave us with a balance of about $33,714. Just FYI.
Thank you.
Just looking, since we mentioned kind of the police and the fire EMS and parks additional fees, so it looks about $5,600 is what covers the police, fire EMS, street use, et cetera. So I think that fits within the 6,000 too, that Christy mentioned. Mike, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I was just about to, I'm comfortable with the 6,000 figure. It strikes me that the commission is really going to have to start thinking about it. The balance for next year, I think I heard over 200,000. Was that correct? Is expected?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah, and I just think, number one, I think this is a worthy event, and number two, given that we haven't had an overwhelming amount of applications, and they usually have been in this 2,500 range, maybe 5 max, we are going to have to start considering the larger ones, I think, to be effective in what we're trying to accomplish. But
Yeah.
that said, I don't want to give money just to give it away, and I do think this one is worthy. So I've supported for that reason, but just I can't help but think we're going to have to start getting more comfortable with larger grants, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think, well, I think the commission's mindset will have to shift a little bit. And I think there's going to be kind of some more vetting. I know there's a number of ideas, just general ideas that are probably coming down the line where groups will want to come before the commission and just hear us out and see if there is an interest before they would go through the formal application process. And so, yeah, I agree that we'll have to really think about these larger ones. What I would do too is, encourage, not that attendance is mandatory in order to receive it, but it is helpful to have kind of that color. And so I think one reason to go back to them and say, we did give you 6,000, which is a larger grant that we've given to other organizations, but it would be really helpful for you to be here to answer some questions, provide us a little bit more confidence behind the grant application, because seeing numbers and text get you get you part way, but then kind of hearing the responses, I think would provide us that comfort, especially as we start to think about larger amounts that go out. So anyways, any additional comments, questions on this application? So it is a motion to approve 6,000 for this event. All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. All right, motion passes. And then hopefully everybody got the revised agenda. There is new business item number 4, discussion regarding potential application for the 2022 Monona Memorial Day Parade.
You know what? I apologize. I may have not sent that out to the committee. I made sure it got
Oh.
posted online correctly, but I think I forgot to email that out to the group.
Oh, okay.
So I apologize about that.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, because I did not see it, so I'll.
Okay. So as it reads, it says discussion regarding potential application for 2022 Monona Memorial Day Parade. This is just a discussion at this point. And this came to light when it was advertised or presented that the Monona Memorial Day Parade was moved down to Broadway instead of along Monona Drive. And then reaching out to Mayor O'Connor and then Kelly and learning a little bit more about the reasoning and maybe what role the Tourism Commission could play into keeping it at its historic location, maybe is a good way to put it, and what that might mean. So before she was to apply, I asked Kelly to attend here, provide a little bit of background on kind of the situation where it's at, and what she knows as to this point and what the timeline might be, if we are as commission members and as a commission willing to entertain an application, and a general sense of how much that application would be for. So with that, all of that preface, Kelly, feel free to take it away.
Hello. Yes, so I have been coordinating the parade for, I believe, 6 years now. And this year will be the 65th annual parade, and typically it's always on Monona Drive. This year, we've been off for 2 years due to the pandemic. And this winter, I kind of slowly got everything ready to go, did a little fundraising earlier this past winter, But I didn't dive right in because I was just going to follow my same routine. I was going to reinvent the wheel coming back after 2 years. So I set the first meeting for March 18th, and at that meeting, Chief Cheney attended, which the chief doesn't normally attend, along with Jeremy Wingy is my PD representative on the parade committee. And Chief Cheney also invited a Madison police officer, Officer Kleinfeld. So at this meeting, I learned that in all the years I've done it, we've always applied for a parade permit, which is like on the City of Madison website. I feel like it kind of goes through parks, or they tell me it's through traffic engineering sometimes. And that kind of never raises any flags or kind of goes nowhere. I apply for that, it's no big deal. And then I get like a little permit emailed to me in May, and like there's no communication or anything. So now I'm at the March 18th meeting, and Officer Kleinfeld shares that, well, this is a bigger event than should have been going that route. You do need a street permit. It's more complicated than that. And also Chief Cheney, that was his previous position. So he had all this information and then came to Monona and shed light on it. So now with the permit and the street portion of it, we are required to hire City of Madison police officers. The tricky part is we don't know how many we need yet. So I need Madison PD to sit down with Monona PD and assess all that. And then the even trickier part of this is that we are looking at Memorial Day, which is like 3 times pay plus 8 hours. It's extremely, extremely inflated. In that meeting on the 18th, a couple of my committee members couldn't make it, but I had a couple public works guys and a couple police officers, Monona and the Madison one, and we kind of discussed it at length for maybe 45 minutes or so. And we determined what we thought the best option would be. And the police department had been looking at options, obviously, because they brought ideas to the table. And we determined that segment of Broadway was our best option because it bumped Madison out. So I don't have the costs, the funds to cover those costs, which I am told, here's the even more complicated piece. Not only is it the 3 times rate, but they can't give me a quote because they don't know which officers will be assigned to the job, and every officer is paid a different amount. So they were throwing around the number, like, I don't know, maybe 10 grand. So that's why the information I did provide, I'm proposing $5,000 to $20,000. We have no idea, and they can't run it until they've assigned the officers. So if I were to come up with these funds this year from, whomever, one, I would have to, the police departments would meet and assess how many. And then one good thing about it is post-event, we would have like, not an exact number for the following years, but we'd have an approximate number. So we would know what we would be fundraising for year after year to keep it on Monona Drive. And then let's see what else is important here. Regarding the routes, so Monona Drive is maybe 2 or 3 times longer than that Broadway route. And then we can do it on Broadway. It's going to be a much shorter parade. I don't get the sense that the entrants are unhappy about it. I did email out information last week. But the community is not happy. It's a parking issue. There will be parking along Femrite. I do already have permission to use Unity Point Meritor's parking lot. But as we all know, like the Monona Drive just borders our community so well. And so to get the masses down on Broadway, it's going to completely change the feel of the parade. And the thought at the time was, we also discussed in that meeting moving the date, like maybe we do it Saturday or Friday night or something. And I still think that's something worth discussing. And that would drive the city of Madison police officer rate way down, just getting it off that Memorial Day. But in that meeting, for the time being, we picked that segment of Broadway and we were going to just make the best of it. Now, if we had funds and we ran it on Monona Drive, we would learn approximately how much it costs. And then if we don't have funds though, if we look at it, if we want to look at that scenario, we run it on Broadway. We learn two things from doing this. We learn how it feels to have it on Broadway and maybe kind of an idea of how many people we can draw. Although, you know, maybe numbers would improve over the years or decline because people don't like the feel of it. So we would learn how that feels. And then also we'd have a whole, if we didn't get funds for this year, we would have a whole year to fundraise for 2023 if we chose we wanted to try and get it back to Monona Drive. So it's kind of a big ball of worms. It's really kind of a mess. Additionally, I have to have a street permit into the city of Madison by 4/27 if I want to attempt that. And also I have been communicating with Chief Cheney, and I did, my last communication with him was late yesterday. You know, even if we have the funds, I want to make sure that he's comfortable, I'm sure he does too, with the Monona Drive option from a safety standpoint. We've had, you know, recent occurrences that I know they're taking into consideration as well. So there's a whole lot of different things going on here, but the number one biggest hurdle would be to have the funds to pay those officers if we chose to try and get back there.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate all that background. So again, this discussion isn't necessarily approval of it because the application has not been filled out. So that would be at a later date, and it would be in a quick succession since you would have to know by the 27th. But it's more of just feeling the commission out of what questions would we have, you know, is this something that we would entertain? And then keep in mind that how our grants work is not a full grant of 20,000 in her high example, but it's a reimbursement for what organizations spend and the receipting and different things like that. So if, you know, in her example, if we were to approve, you know, $20,000 and it becomes 10,000 or less or whatever it might be, that's what she would get up to $20,000. So if it were to get to be 30,000, which as I understand our conversations, 20,000 was the highest kind of dream scenario that even the Madison police threw out there of what it would cost. So she would not have to, what do I want to say? We wouldn't be paying more than what it would cost, I guess is the point of that. So for the commission members, what questions?
Andrew, sorry, I had two quick kind of procedural questions. And Kelly, maybe you don't even know the answers to these, so I'm just putting them out there, and I guess we'd have to do some work. One thing that Chief Cheney Austin mentioned to me, and I don't know how we solved this issue, because quite frankly, like you said, it wasn't something we were thinking about for the last couple of years when we were doing it, is if the parade is back on Monona Drive, that's a major bus route. And so we would be blocking off portions of Monona Drive for the parade, and perhaps even on Broadway, if it goes down there. How are we going to deal with that impact of rerouting a bus? And what sort of impact does that have on people who utilize the bus to get to and fro?
You know, that was never discussed in all my years, so I kind of feel like it's a non-issue, but rerouting Madison Metro is part of the streets permit and you pay a fee. So that is part of the street permit cost, but it's insignificant compared to the police officer portion. Mm-hmm. So they take care of that.
Okay. And then the second question is, and this is maybe more of a question for Chief Cheney Austin. So remind me, when we did the parade again last in 2019, when we were on Monona Drive, did we use both sides of Monona Drive? No. So, okay, so just the western side.
Yes.
So where I'm going with that, is there a way that you could configure use of only the western side to keep Madison out and therefore reduce the cost, no matter what, even if all the activity is limited on Monona's side of Monona Drive, they're going to want to be involved?
No, they tell me no. Monona PD said no, and I think if I recall back to that March meeting, I think it's because, you know, there's just too many pedestrians around, so we have to shut the whole thing down. People watch from both sides of the road, and then if it's shut down, then we have to have the street permit.
Yeah, I could see that being a major safety issue
Yeah.
with cars running.
Mhm.
I was wondering if you could expand a little on the community feedback you've heard. You said most people you've talked to would be upset about it not being on Monona Drive. Like, what is the extent of the feedback you've heard?
I only posted it to Facebook on the parade page, so the entries would kind of get out. I wasn't trying to make any announcements or anything, but and it's very negative. Everyone's just mean social media things.
Got it.
My heart goes out to you, Kelly. I have been thinking about so much this week because someone shared that to the Monona neighborhood group.
Oh, and I haven't been over there.
Don't go.
I
Don't
won't.
do it. Don't do it. It's not worth your mental health. Yeah, I will say basically a giant chasm split through the community when that happened, and we're all about to fall into it. So it's too much change for people to handle. And when I saw it, I was like, she must have very good reasoning.
Yeah.
There has to be very good reasoning. But yeah, I feel for you. I have a couple of questions. So would Monona PD also be hired if you had to hire the Madison PD?
They typically, our whole department works it, and it's absorbed by the city. It always has been.
Got it. Okay. And then, the other thing I was thinking about is, here we are talking about a new Owen Road development at the bowling alley where your end staging takes place. That's going to go away. That won't be there next year, probably. So is this an opportunity to do it on Monona Drive, but maybe change the end staging? Maybe it could be Nichols School. So it
Yes.
could be a little shorter, not so much of a change that people just can't handle it,
So Officer Wingy and I discussed that yesterday because I was trying to figure any way to cut costs, although that number is still going to be big, that Madison police officer number. But that was our thought too. We stop at Nichols, and Officer Wingy kept saying we send them up to Senate, up to La Follette.
Oh,
That's where
Might work.
and when I was in high school, that's where it would end.
Was it? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
huge space there.
And that might alleviate some numbers of officers. But yes, that's definitely, we're going that direction.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
And then just so you know, Chief Cheney Austin is going on vacation very, very soon.
Oh,
Going to
Yeah.
South America, so he's
Yeah,
not-
oh,
and that's fine. I mean, we'd coordinate with Sarah and Kurt.
Oh.
Sorry, Assistant Chief Duman and Lieutenant Wheel. Thank you. So yeah, that's fine.
Okay. I think this event, hearing the outrage that happened this week over it, it's obvious that people care a lot about this event. People are excited to see it back. I mean, it is, it's like as much of our brand as a city as anything else. I see it as an incredibly valuable event. I would be willing to support you, Kelly, personally. I think it's just, it's a coming together moment that we all, everyone needs. And I think it's just a wonderful event. You've done such a great job historically.
Yeah, I agree with, oh, sorry, go ahead, Colleen.
Oh, no, I was just wondering, do you think you would receive a similar amount of negativity exploring doing it on a different day? I mean, I know Memorial Day events not on Memorial Day are pretty common.
That was my first reaction in the meeting was to move the date because
Yeah.
Memorial Day weekend is tough.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
people are gone. It's Sunday morning. But then I kind of do feel like it should stay Memorial Day weekend. Like I do see like Friday night or Saturday morning being an option. You're still gonna a lot of people leave town. You'd still probably keep some people in for Saturday morning and then they'd head out of town. The other component, like I can argue it both ways, like all day and all night. I'm a little torn as well. McFarland has a Memorial Day parade at noon on Monday. And there are a couple entrants that will go straight from our parade to their parade, but with the location on Broadway, like, I feel like it's so close too, although I feel like that's their community event and this is ours, but I don't like the proximity of that per se. And then if we kept it on the drive and moved the date, that would differentiate us a little more. If it goes to Broadway, it's not going to be what it was. It's just going to come down and we're going to honor our veterans. It's not going to be this huge Monona spectacle. The other idea I had was, maybe we let it go there, go to Broadway, check it out, try it out. It's all Monona then, and then maybe that opens the door for someone else, or probably not me, but maybe me, or to create another community parade on a non-holiday, on a good weekend that's really slow, and have another themed big community type event. It really is that Memorial Day date that's biting us.
I'm almost wondering if maybe it's a little late since you already sent them an email, but receiving some feedback from your entrants, and then the organizations that you work with, particularly for honoring the veterans at the cemetery and elsewhere, what their feelings are of potentially moving the date, good, bad, or otherwise.
Cool, for the date, yes.
Yeah, feeling them out on particularly the date.
Yeah.
And seeing what their feelings are, because maybe it would work better for them, or maybe they really like, because it is a large draw, I think, and a large community draw. And I think changing the date might, to them might impact the draw and might impact their interest in being a part of it in one way or another. And so you'd hate to change the date and then have some failings elsewhere. But maybe, if we're able to get back to the drive, having those feelers out as you're talking to people, whether they're volunteers, the organizations you work with, the entrants, to see what their feelings are, I think would be interesting.
And part of the reason I don't start that conversation too is I feel like I have such a mess brewing and a communications mess a week or two from now.
Yeah.
I do want to gather that information, but
I wouldn't do it now.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't do it now.
To be on the flip side.
Yeah. You plan the event, wherever it needs to be, but then, as on the flip side, ask them to feel that out. But I mean, to Christy's point, and in agreement with Christy, I'm fully supportive of this. I think, I'm willing to approve up to the $20,000 so that we can get more of a quote unquote solid number for future years for you as far as fundraising. And then frankly, for us, as far as Tourism Commission, I could see supporting this in some way, maybe not at the $20,000 level, but into the future, because it is such a draw for the community. And, if we look at heads and beds, I know a number of, families that stay at hotels or stay in the area. And, while maybe the parade isn't necessarily their primary purpose for staying in the community during that time, they stay over maybe another night to make sure that they're here for Memorial Day and then be there for the parade. So I think I think it would be great to be able to get you back on the drive for this year, having the support from us, being able to give you those numbers, and then be able to ask those questions and start planning, into the future, and see, is it shorter length? Is it longer length? Does that impact the costs? Is there ways to, I know you and I talked about through email, partnering with the city of Madison. I know La Follette's band used to play in the parade, when we made that left turn at Flom Road. So is there ways to get kind of those, that community feel without maybe losing that Monona Memorial Day parade feel as well? But anyways, all that to say is I'm fully supportive, and, wish you all the best, because I know hopefully it hasn't made it to next door yet, which is, the ultimate chasm for all negativity, but hopefully you'll make it through it. I know you will. But Colleen or Mike?
I think you said it well, Andrew and Christy, very supportive. For what it's worth, I'd say Monona Drive on Memorial Day, the Monday, makes the most sense to me, but I'd want the flexibility. I'd also approve up to the 20. So in agreement.
I agree. This is a great event. And I also appreciate that you're on a very tight deadline right now. So.
All right. Sorry, one other question, just general comment, and I'm not on the committee. I'm not telling you what the route should be. The one thing that's nice about turning by Ken's is I know that includes the heritage residents, because I remember in future or past parades, people just looking at their out their balconies, of which I don't think they would probably make it down to the rest of the parade if it were to be cut off there. But just that's for you guys to decide, not us or not me. So I guess if you would be able to fill out an application, it seems like the consensus is that we are supportive. Brian or Mark, I'm just going to throw this out there. We would prefer to have an application before voting on it, even though we discussed a lot of the details. Knowing her deadline and tight turnaround, I just want to be cognizant of that too. But we do have a week, so I think we could get a meeting together, but I just want to ask, because it seems like a strong consensus from the commission to support this. And if we don't need another meeting, that would be fine, but what's your comfort? Or I guess we don't want to set a precedent of this type of thing either, though.
Yeah, I mean, it was noticed as discussion only, not discussion and potential action, just because we didn't know what was going on. I mean, like I said, you could do a virtual meeting in a matter of 15 minutes. So if this body knew that there was a potential to meet again next week on short notice, that could get noticed yet this week, and you could meet Wednesday or whenever you're thinking of submitting your application to the city of Madison, Kelly. We could plan our meeting kind of around that, and have that done before you apply or after you apply, whatever you think your timeline is.
Yeah, I need your approval before I submit that permit.
Okay. And that's the 27th.
Correct, and I can get my application into you tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, why don't you do that, and then for the body, I mean, is there a day next week that would work for a very brief meeting, perhaps the same afternoon time?
Unfortunately, I think there'll be a new member, won't there, next time? I mean, Christy, today's Christy's last day.
That's true, technically, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So there'll be a new council member.
Why don't you send out an email when whoever the new commission member is, we can send out an email regarding a date, but as long as we all know to keep kind of a thought. And frankly, if it's just 15 minutes or whatever, I can meet during the work day a little bit more too, or even frankly, the rest of this week. So maybe we can.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, you could still meet this week if need be.
Yeah. So yeah, once you know who the new commission member is, why don't you send out an email to everybody? And then we can, as long as everybody that's on this quick turnaround, keep that in mind. We'll find some time. All right, Kelly. So yeah, if you want to submit that application to Brian, we'll get that in short order, and we'll definitely have that approved before the 27th. And wish for the best.
Yeah, great. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
And certainly I understand that just our approval of this doesn't necessarily guarantee it's back on the drive. You still have there.
We're a lot closer. I have to tie up a couple more things. Yep.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you
for all your work on that, and thanks for all your time and coming tonight to discuss that.
You got this, Kelly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't go on social media. Discussion of items to include,
in general.
Yeah, just that's true. Just generally. Discussion items to include on future agenda.
Actually, sorry, to that last point, would it be appropriate for someone to reach out to the new member to give them a little background on the vote, just to keep the meeting brief?
Sure.
Okay,
Oh, Brian, you're on mute.
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fine. If you just wanted to give them a quick rundown once we know who that person is, that'd be fine.
great.
Yeah, I'm happy to chat with them or whatever.
Okay.
Any future items? As I mentioned, I think we'll probably be, and as Mike mentioned too, we'll probably have to think a little bit differently as the Tourism Commission as more money comes through. And I know we'll probably have a lot more of these kind of discussion items before people formally apply, just to feel us out and see how that goes. So I think it's all good issues and good problems to have, and we'll just see each other more regularly. Upcoming meeting is to be determined, but as we just said, Brian will reach out to us right after the commission member is appointed. And hopefully maybe even this week we can tie up that loose end. Is there, well, Alder Goforth, thank you for your service on the commission. It was fun, but enjoy your free time.
Come to an end, right?
Yeah.
I just wanted to say thank you to all of you. It's been a pleasure serving with all of you. Thank you for your commitment to the city and to this body. Yeah, it's been great getting to know all of you. So
Awesome.
yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you.